The thing about life is that it never goes the way you expect. Right now in the deep levels of Shinjuku Dungeon, two ladies call out to Harushige as he stands before a dark entity. The Void, what are you doing here? But back to the story. Harushige can't believe it because what do you mean he was just an office drone a month ago, and now he's in front of a powerful enemy? He extends his hand to this being and activates his skill. Dominate. Let's wind it back to a month ago. Our guy is the poster boy of overworked and underpaid, slaving away at the office for 4 all-nighters a week on average. Can you believe his monthly OT totals at least 160 hours? His company practically rivals Elon Musk's OT for his employees at Tesla. What's worse is that there are no bonuses, raises, or promotions, which kind of makes you wonder why he's staying at that workplace in the first place. But a blessing in disguise came in the form of our hero, Yamamoto Harushige, suddenly getting axed at work that day. Our dude worked for 16 years at this company, and at 38 he got fired, and with no separation pay. Amazing. He left the office that very minute, and as the view of a tree enveloping a giant building is a sign enough, Hashigure sits at a nearby bench wondering if maybe it's high time he tries becoming an explorer or something. Before everything else, what is an explorer anyway? You see, around 50 years ago, buildings across the world suddenly transformed into monster-filled labyrinths through a phenomenon called Dungeonization. You can already imagine the capitalists seeing this as an opportunity for business, no? From this scenario, a new occupation called explorers was introduced. Their main goal is simple. If they can defeat the boss at the end, then the building returns to normal. Hashigure reads the advertisement to become an explorer, walking into a high-rise building as he does so. As soon as he enters, he's met with different kinds of people, wearing fancy clothes and equipment fit for exploring the dungeons. A PR voice can be heard saying that some fight to reclaim the world, while others test their strength. More people chase the riches hidden deep within the dungeons. Regardless of their choices, to each their own. With that, the poster girl is enticing people to join and become explorers to chase their dreams. But before the ad finished airing, there was a small disclaimer saying they're not responsible for all injuries and deaths that happen within the dungeon. And that just about sums up the introductory video for explorers. The lady in charge of the orientation wraps it up quickly, asking if he has any questions. Well, Hashigure is sane enough to ask about that very sketchy disclaimer at the end. Like any lady who has signed an NDA and is loyal to her company, she moves on to the next part, waltzing out the door to lead him to registration. Of course, Hashigure had no other choice but to follow suit as she led him to a towering stone tablet. For convenience purposes, we'll just call her Lady, okay? So Lady asks Hashigure to put his hand on the stone tablet and to state his name and age. He steps forward and does as she instructed, but after a beat, nothing happens. Hashigure turns to Lady asking if he's doing it right, only to see that the latter is looking at him funnily. There was some judgment going on, that's for sure. It took a second for Lady to assure him that it's okay. They totally had guys his age who signed up as explorers, occasionally. He can see through her. Lady's really out here trying to spare his feelings. Well, now that orientation and registration are done, what's next? Lady tells him to say status, and as soon as he does, a prompt appears. Lady explains that only he can see that screen showing his current level, Explorer Level 1. As soon as he defeats monsters and gains experience, his level will increase. But most important of all are the skills. According to her, skills are usually special powers earned through talent and years of training, and everyone starts with a few basic ones. As for the quality of their skills, it all boils down to pure luck. She has faith that someone like him might even have gotten a pretty good one. Alright then, let's see what his skills are, is that right? The screen says his skills include appraisal and world tame. Hashigure turns to her, and even she couldn't hide the disappointment in her face. Those are quite some basic skills he got there, Nevertheless, she fills him in on his skills anyway. Appraisal is a pretty useful skill that allows him to check the stats of monsters and other explorers. But for World Tame, well, she's not too sure. There is the word Tame in there after all, and it says among all the starting skills, Tame ranks in the bottom 3. That bad, Tame uses spirit points, or SP, to control monsters, which is pretty terrible. Weak monsters are too dumb to follow orders, whereas strong monsters have resistance. Plus, it consumes a lot of SP, and there's always the chance that monsters can't be tamed at all. On the off chance that he succeeds, the control may not last long. After that long explanation, a heavy air can be felt between them, and yet Lady still wishes him to enjoy his explorer life. Cut to the next scene, explorers litter around the building's lobby, and there's Hashigure holding a small bag of an explorer's beginner equipment, along with the ad on his arm. Well, can't say he didn't see this one coming. But to be fair, it's not like he planned to make a serious career out of this. After all, it was a spur-of-the-moment decision. Clutching his beginner bag, it only dawned upon him now that he really has no talent. But it's not so surprising since he is just a washed-up 38-year-old. Just then, he sees other explorers getting giddy and clamoring over something. Of course, his nosy butt just had to see what's going on when he heard one of the explorers say that the absolute knights are over there. A party of 4 appears, led by a man in armor with 3 others trailing after him. Right behind him is a girl in a long ponytail carrying the head of a dragon as if it's nothing. The other explorers start talking about them, with one claiming their party is going after Shinjuku next. By the way they carry themselves alone, it's pretty obvious that the absolute knights are the cream of the crop. Even Hashigura can see that. Speaking of, let's check their stats using his appraisal just to have an idea of how strong these people are. Hashigura used it on the girl carrying the dragon head, and the screen reveals that her name is Kokonoi Sakurako. A 24-year-old human, she's a level 139 with a chock full of skills like Great Sword, Appraisal, Mental Resistance, Emergency Dodge, and a whole lot more. Upon seeing her stats, Hashigura felt a little overwhelmed and at the same time helpless. She's practically more than a decade younger than him and she's got all that going for her? Well, Lady did tell him earlier that skills are special powers earned through talent and training. He turns away from the crowd and decides that he'll just take one monster out near the entrance. That should be enough to leave a memory of his short stint as an explorer, no? Unknown to him, Sakurako turns in his direction as soon as he walks away. The other guy noticed this and asked if something's up. She tells him it's nothing. But in her mind, it felt like something was off, but maybe she was just imagining it. On to the next panel, we see Hashigura at the scene of his explorer debut, at Napori Dungeon. Our guy didn't even bother changing out of his salaryman outfit and just slapped the chest armor on, hyping himself a little while he was at it. Lady recommended Napori for first-time explorers since the monsters are weaker here, and deaths are relatively rare. Emphasis on the word relatively, so there's a chance one can still die, no? She also tells him to head back to the guild to report after he's done exploring as a way to wrap up his onboarding. Hashigura enters the rocky cave, but to his surprise, the inside looks just like a darkened hallway of an office. To be precise, the very view he saw whenever he pulled all-nighters at the office. And the memories came flooding back. He remembers his boss rinsing his butt for not finishing those reports. In his defense, he remembers the older man saying he'll take care of those. But like any old fart, he gets angry and gaslights poor Hashigura. So what does a rank-and-file employee like him have to do? Own up to his boss's mistake, that's what. What's even worse is that the older man wants the report done by morning, so Hashigura slaved the night away at the office. His office mates find him pitiful like that. That darn memory came and went like a second, so Hashigura had to shake his head off to not mull over the past. He has to focus on being an explorer now, and he might as well enjoy it. Who cares if he doesn't have the talent for it? What he has is a lot of time on his hands and a few savings, so to hell with it. He gingerly looks over the caverns, looking for any signs of monsters or trouble. And that's when he hears it. A cute Q sound, like Togepi. For the first time in his life, Hashigura is face to face with a monster, although it's only a blob of slime. Oh, he can't help but get a little excited and just look at how cute that is hopping around. But is this it? Is this a monster? Well, it's exactly what he imagined slimes to look like, and since he's at it, he uses appraisal. It's a slime alright, and it's a level 1 with 2 skills, tackle and absorb. Hashigura got too engrossed looking at the monster data that he failed to see slime charge toward him, hitting him square in the gut. Oof, this monster may be a level 1, but so is he. That attack sent him skidding back on his side as he finally realized that the monster had just attacked him. Did the slime just body slam the hell out of him? Hashigura checks his status and sees that he took some damage. So that cost him 8 SP, which means he can survive 6 more hits. But can he though? Just one critical hit and he's a goner. Suddenly, slime starts to brace itself for another attack, and Hashigura is quick enough to see it. But what will he do? Dodge? Counterattack? Can he even do both at the same time? That's when he saw his other skill on the screen. That's it. World Tame. Okay, he knows what to do. It's now or never. As the slime bounced and propelled itself to him, Hashigura raised his hand and yelled, "Dominate!" His hand glowed, followed by a few light streaks, and then it was over. It was dark again in the cave, and only his pants could be heard. But something changed. The once violent slime is now docile. There's even a small balloon over its head saying it's awaiting command. Wait, so does that mean it worked? It worked! His world tame actually worked, but his happiness got cut short when he felt his knees buckle. Crap. He feels like throwing up. He checks his status and sees that using World Tame cost him 40 SP, but you know what? Compared to pulling an all-nighter, this is basic. He can brave through that fatigue. He's got grit after all. Now then, back to this slime. Hashigura eyes the monster, looking at the prompt above its head. Lady told him back then that weak monsters don't obey monsters, but what is this? Well, to heck with it, so he instructs the slime to try jumping. The monster starts bouncing off the ground, which proves that it actually listens. Well, given that there are a lot of different skills out there, Hashigura thought that maybe his skills aren't so bad after all. With that, he tells the slime to stop, but what if? Cut to the next scene. Hashigura finds another slime, but this time he's not alone. He calls on the slime before, naming him Hama, and orders him to strike down the enemy. Hama zooms around and decks the other slime. Once it was out of it, Hashigura used this chance to cut it in half. Woo! Hashigura couldn't contain his excitement, cheering himself for taking out 5 slimes in one go. At this rate, he can even handle himself in a fight. He checks his stats and sees that he's a level 8 explorer now. Moreover, his HP and SP have also increased, and he's gained a few skills like mental resistance, knife, and emergency dodge. Hama starts bouncing around aggressively, making him chuckle. It looks like the little guy is cheering him on too. Suddenly, Hashigure lets out an exasperated sigh as he remembers working nights again, staring intently at the glow of his monitor, alone at the office. Looking back, he looks more like a zombie then. Hama's cute voice snapped him back to reality as he squatted before the slime. He pats its head, muttering to himself how it seems he's got his first subordinate. Hashigure gets up and says he'll just explore a little further and call it a day. He emerges from Nippori, a little blinded by the bright surroundings, and not a moment later, Lady comes running. She calls out to him, panting, before scolding him in a beat. Didn't she tell him before to report back once he's finished exploring? Hashigure apologizes and tells her that he just wrapped up now and was just about to return. Wait, what? He repeats what he just said, but Lady is more concerned that he was actually holed up in Nippori this whole time exploring that dungeon? Hashigure says yeah, so Lady had to tell him that it's been over 15 hours since he entered the dungeon. What the hell? Well, he's not too shocked about it. If anything, Hashigure thinks that his old work schedule must have rubbed off on him that badly, pulling all-nighters and all that crap. He didn't even notice that time flew by. He goes on to say how he couldn't believe he spent over 15 hours fighting monsters. But to his surprise, it's more enjoyable than he originally thought. Back when he was an office employee, it was just days and days of endless work. At least with dungeon exploration, he feels like he's making progress. Wait a minute, speaking of progress, Lady asks if he leveled up. Hashigure says he did, but it's just a little though. She had to follow up and ask how much he leveled up, so Hashigure checked his status, saying he made it to level 8 today. Not much, right? But like what they used to say, slow and steady wins the race. Lady is beyond speechless. He reached level 8 in a day? Even fast learners usually take a week just to reach level 1. Yeah, you could say he fought monsters non-stop for over 15 hours, but Hashigure's growth rate is just not normal. Seeing Lady still hadn't spoken a word, Hashigure was about to tell her about the report, and that snapped her back to now. Well, everything's fine now that she confirmed it all, so he's good to go home. With that, Hashigure gives a little bow, thanking Lady for all her help today before he leaves. Looking at his retreating back, Lady can't help but wonder just who this Yamamoto Harushige is. Our dude's on the train ride home now, clutching his equipment as he stares mindlessly at the ceiling. He mutters to himself that, with all things considered, today was a bit of fun for him. The experience made him wonder what he should do tomorrow. Saying that out loud shocks him, the thought of tomorrow. He remembers the usual train ride en route to work with other corporate slaves like him and working tirelessly in front of the computer, then going home to sleep in his crappy apartment. Now that he realized it, it's been years since he actually looked forward to the next day. He smiles a little, wondering what's in store for him tomorrow. He clutches his equipment bag tighter, excited at what tomorrow will bring. Someone's getting rinsed pretty badly at the office today, and it's not Hashigure. A female worker bows her head apologetically as the section chief continues to slam her work. He slaps her report, ordering her not to go home until she finishes all of it. With that, the girl exits quietly with her head down and passes by Hashigure's workstation. He was about to ask if he could help her with anything when the section chief turned on him this time, asking for the papers from before. Of course, Hashigure has to prioritize what his boss says, but he can't help but feel bad about her, looking at her hunched back as she walked away. With that, Hashigure woke up with a start, drenched in cold sweat. Crap, he can't believe he's still having nightmares about that time, huh? He pulls the curtain open, telling himself that he's not a salaryman anymore. It's time to switch gears. The morning light energizes him, as he claims it's time to hit the grind. Feeling much bolder now, Hashigure goes to the Shinjuku dungeon, but at the upper levels only. A goblin snarls, and 2 of them decide to attack him at once. But our dude's no beginner now. With just 2 flicks of his knife, he cuts them down easily. Suddenly, a 3rd goblin springs from behind him, unknown to him. Out of nowhere, a flurry of movement took down this goblin just in time for Hashigure to see him. He beams. Nice work. It's all thanks to his 3 slimes, Sura Ichiro, Surajiro, and Sura Saburo. Can he not think of a shorter name for these slimes? Quite a mouthful if you ask me. Anyway, he turns back to the enemies ahead. There are still several goblins left, and Hashigure's intent is to push a little further than yesterday. But before we continue with that, let's talk about what happened after his first dungeon run. Lady screams at his face, asking what the hell he was doing. She can't believe he brought a monster out of the dungeon. First, he pulled an all-nighter at the dungeon, and now this? He's a walking disaster. That's it, she's had it. She's calling this into the higher-ups. But wait, he's just as freaked out as she is. Hashigura explains that he can't cancel the Tame. So imagine his surprise when he opened his bag and saw slime in there. He thinks the monster must have crawled inside his bag before he exited the dungeon. He feels apologetic, swearing he doesn't know how to cancel it. But yeah, this is bad news, right? Lady stares at him, admitting that it is bad. However, something is also weird. Weird? How so? She explains that normally, using skills outside the dungeon zones triggers instant alerts, meaning the guild would have been all over him in one go at that moment. Strangely enough, Hashigura hasn't been flagged yet. Her brows furrowed, looking at him, thinking about how he was able to raise his level 8 times and have a completely unknown skill. Lady's senses are tingling. There's something definitely strange about this guy. But her ultimate dilemma now is this. Should she report him now or not? But if she does, the paperwork is nothing but a pain. After careful consideration, she tells Hashigura that it's all good for now. Emphasis on for now. He obviously didn't expect that decision from her, so he had to ask again if she was sure about it. Lady tells him that his skills didn't trigger any alerts, and technically speaking, it's not illegal to have monsters just to use skills, and if he's not abusing it, then it's all fine. She proclaims his utter belief in him, and no, this is not about how troublesome it is to report him at all, but Hashigura heard her muttering that. But no, it's all fine. Now then, her only advice this time is to avoid going around parading his slimes like that. She got scared as hell seeing him do that. Hashigura quickly agrees, and one more thing. Lady asks if he has ever considered exploring the Shinjuku dungeon. It's much bigger than Nippori, but the upper floors are perfect for rookies who've gotten used to exploring Nippori. Basically, it's the next step up. Well, normally one needs more experience, but she thinks Hashigura will be fine since the monsters are only slightly stronger than slimes. Now we're back to the present, with Hashigura slashing the goblins one after the other. Before long, there's a pile of dead goblins behind him, remembering what just transpired this morning. Is this lady's definition of slightly? But hey, look at that! Our dude's at level 19 now, and he's got 2 additional skills, Detection and Fighting Spirit. The goblins' bodies start to disintegrate, with only their fangs left on the floor. Ew! Still, Hashigura uses his appraisal to see if it has any value. The screen shows him that a piece of goblin fang costs around 500 to 800 yen. He exhales, putting his hand over his waist as he remembers that he's no longer a salaryman. He's an explorer now. In this new life, he'll only do what he wants to do, and he won't do what he doesn't want to do. He looks back at the goblin fang and ultimately picks it up. Well, he still needs money to live, so he'll just avoid what he doesn't want to do as much as possible. Suddenly, the slimes come rushing. These 3, Sura Ichiro, Surajiro, and Sura Saburo, are on different levels. The first is level 13, while the second is level 8, and the third is level 7. He pats one of them for a job well done before ordering them to continue scouting. Looking at his little party, Hashigura feels fortunate to have these guys. It's too bad though, since he can only keep 3 active. But on the other hand, he can't bring them home or drag them around anyway. It didn't take long for them to find another goblin, so Hashigura defeats it and claims its fang before diving deeper into the dungeon. It's been like that for a while now, with his pockets almost brimming with goblin fangs. He's got a pretty decent haul, but they're all dirt cheap, which means he has to grind a bit more. Just then he notices a dark cavern, remembering how treasures are always tucked away in hidden corners like these. With that in mind, he orders Sura Ichiro to check it out. He watches the slime hop its way into the cavern and waits for its return. While waiting, Hashigura thinks that it must have already been wiped clean, but you never know, right? Maybe there's still treasure left. He continues to wait until suddenly, he hears something grab the slime. Oh no, something's not right! Hashigura enters the cavern, calling out to Sura Ichiro when he sees something he was not meant to see. 3 guys got a girl pinned down in an uncompromising position, and they're just as surprised as Hashigura is. What the? Even though Hashigura already knows what's about to happen, he asks the guys what they're doing, with shock evident in his face. One of them gets up, saying they're in the middle of something here. So is Pops trying to play hero or something now? Hashigura uses his appraisal and sees the guy's stats. He's a 22-year-old human named Date Takuma. A level 27 with swordsmanship, emergency dodge, and restraint magic skills. This guy is strong, much stronger than our dude. By now, Takuma is up, walking over to Hashigura, and judging by the expression on the latter's face, he knows his level is higher than our guy. Takuma kicks the slime, asking if Hashigura's skill is to tame this pathetic thing. But Hashigura didn't answer, so Takuma continued to run his mouth, saying anyone lugging around useless trash like slimes must be trash too. With a trash skill, trash monsters, and a trash level, it just goes to show that this old man is pathetic in Takuma's eyes. To the point that he almost pities our guy. Wait a minute, he has an idea. How about they let this Pops join in on the fun too? Takuma's friends hold the girl, making her cry even more. She looks at Hashigura with pleading eyes, and the latter looks back in all seriousness. He has flashbacks to his co-worker then, as word spread around the department was the reason the poor girl died. While still sitting in front of his workstation, the once salaryman Hashigure listens as he hears them shift the blame between the department and the girl herself. But whatever the case may be, they all think that if someone had just helped her then, maybe that wouldn't have happened. But it's too late to say that now. Hearing all that talk made Hashigure ball his fists in frustration. And now he sees himself in the same situation. With one of his slimes down and a poor girl being held against her will, he had to make a decision. Hashigure hangs his head low, saying he's not the person he used to be, and in this life, he'll live on his own terms. He won't do what he doesn't want to do, so this time, he's going to save her no matter what. Takuma drew his axe when he heard Pop say that. Save her? To hell with copping a feel, he'll just kill the old man right here, right now, and feed his corpse to the dungeon monsters. As he was about to attack Hashigure, the latter stood still, concentrating the power in his hand before facing his palm up to Takuma and yelling, "Tame!" There was a tense moment as everybody got their eyes on the two, who both looked as if they were frozen in time. Hashigure speaks, ordering Takuma to leave now, not to show his face near her again and to never hurt anyone again. Another silence before the other two guys burst out laughing. Is he an idiot? Tame doesn't work on humans? They keep on belittling Hashigure, claiming he doesn't know his own skills and calling him names. Meanwhile, they tell Takuma to kill Pops and smash his skull, only for Takuma to drop his axe. Huh, what's wrong, dude? In a quiet voice, he hesitated, making the two wait in anticipation for what he was going to say. I'm going home, Takuma said. Still shaking, he repeats what he had just said and starts walking toward the exit, all while saying he's going home. Of course, the other two were shocked by this development. What the hell? They pick up Takuma's axe and run after him. Meanwhile, Hashigure frees the girl. He assures her that everything's fine now and even hands her a recovery potion. While the girl drinks it, Hashigure stares at his hand, thinking about how he acted on instinct. To be fair, he never thought that it would actually work on a human. He balls his palm, thinking that maybe, no, definitely, he's pretty sure that his is not a normal tame skill. Just then, the girl speaks and thanks him for saving her. This girl's name is Asuzaki Makoto. She's an 18-year-old level 16 archer. Hashigure asks if she's hurt anywhere, but she tells him she's not. Well, thank goodness then. Makoto promises to pay him back for the potion, but he tells her it's fine. If anything, he only did it because he wanted to help, saying this while cradling poor Sura Ichiro. Makoto was dumbstruck when she heard that, but still. She insists on paying for it because it must have been expensive, right? Seriously though, Hashigure assures her that it's fine and he hasn't even used it yet. The girl is hell-bent on repaying him somehow, even though he keeps rejecting it. To end this back and forth, Hashigure gets up and walks away, saying knowing she's safe is good enough for him. Our dude is about to go on his way when Makoto grabs his shirt. With a determined look, she asks Hashigure if he wants to form a party with her. Huh? With Makoto's sudden invitation, the two find themselves sitting near the entrance of the Shinjuku dungeon. She sits across from him, thanking him again for saving her earlier, and introduces herself as Asuzaki Makoto. She bows politely, something Hashigure mirrors, and introduces himself promptly. Makoto explains that those three guys from before were actually her party members, but he didn't realize that they were novice hunters. Novice hunters? Hashigure echoes the term questioningly, so Makoto explains what they are. You see, this happens often with explorers, wherein novice hunters lure clueless newbies into their parties. Once they're inside the dungeon and out of the guild's sight, these ruthless people will rob you blind and kill you. The worst part is that deaths in dungeons aren't investigated. Yeah, remember that small disclaimer from the introductory video back then? This is where it comes in. Like many others, poor Makoto also fell for that stupid promise of earning $1 million a day with no experience. One of the most widely used pitches for individuals desperate to earn more. Listening to her story, Hashigure feels bad for her, but knowing what happened just now, does she really want him to form a party with her? For all she knows, he could be just as bad as her former party mates. At the mention of that, Makoto is taken aback. You mean he's actually a bad person? Hashigure had to stress that it's a what-if scenario. Like, girl, be for real. Oh, is that so? Makoto sighs in relief. It was just a hypothetical question after all. But this just made Hashigure worry about her even more. She's far too trusting. This time he tells her that he's barely a week old as an explorer, and he doesn't even know how parties work. With that said, he asks her if she could explain it to him. Makoto begins by saying that when you form a party, item transfers become easier and you can share the experience points earned in dungeons. Nani, the heck? Experience points? Shared? Hashigure still doesn't know any of this. So Makoto explains by example, let's say a monster is equal to 100 XP. If they take it down together, Hashigure not only gets 100 EXP, but he also gets a bonus from whatever his party member earns, and in this case, it's also 100. When you look at it like this, even if he doesn't fight much, he still gains experience as long as the others are defeating the monsters. Now even he admits that the benefit is pretty handy. Makoto braces herself as she opens up to him that she's actually desperately short on money right now. So this is her offer. If they form a party together, she'll hunt monsters in the dungeon every day. He can take the bonus EXO as her thanks is what she's thinking. It may sound pretty selfish, but that's the only thing she can offer now. Hashigure mulls over this for a bit and was about to say even if he turns her down, but he didn't get to finish his sentence. Makoto stands on her seat, leaning closer to him as she tells him that it's not right. A favor is a favor, so she has to repay him. So he ponders over it again, and after a long pause he agrees, but on one condition. They go into the dungeon and hunt monsters together. What's more, he wants to split the loot 50-50, so if she's fine with that, then they have a deal. She's not too pleased with the setup, but if he's fine with that, then sure. Still, she insists on going the extra mile, urging him to speak up if he ever feels uncomfortable about anything. Makoto promises to do whatever it takes, so just to appease her, Hashigure says that he will. In his mind, he knows this girl means well, but she can come off a little too intense. While the two got into an agreement, somewhere else in the Shinjuku dungeon, a couple of adventurers are fearing for their lives. They stand frozen in their spots, looking at this monster that's not even supposed to be on this floor. A giant, dark-skinned cyclops looms over them, asking just why the hell a monster like this is here. Then back to Makoto and Hashigure. The latter says they should call it a day. What? But Makoto assures him that she's fine, with the older man only looking at him intently in reply. He tells her that they don't have any reason to rush and that it's better to be safe than sorry. Makoto apologizes for causing trouble again, but just when the older man was about to say something, they heard a booming noise that sent tremors through every part of the dungeon. Hashigure turns in the direction of the noise and points out that it's nearby. Not a moment later, one of the explorers from before comes out injured and running. He falls to the ground, reaching his hand out to ask for help, when a giant foot stomps the ground a few feet away from him. The glaring eye of the Cyclops gleams in the dark as it stands towering before the three of them. Hashigure hurries over to help the other guy with his eyes set on the monster. Just what the hell is that? Makoto says that it's a Cyclops, but just like the other explorers, she can't believe this monster is here, especially since they're pretty close to the surface. Hashigure puts his arm around the injured guy and tells Makoto they need to bail now. She should go first. Makoto looks at them and knows they can't outrun the monster while carrying an injured person. So what are her options? Run? Ditch them? Is she going to let him save her again? The Cyclops eyes them, no pun intended, with tenacity, exhaling steam with its mouth open. Makoto decides then that she has to do this. She grips her bow tightly and quickly draws it, telling Hashigure that she'll hold off the monster so they can get out of here. Hashigure and the other guy are already a few feet ahead of her, while Makoto didn't even look back as she fired an arrow at the Cyclops' eye. The monster extends its hand to smash her, but thankfully, she manages to evade in time before its attack could make contact. Makoto gets into position and fires another shot but misses her target again. Now she grows frustrated at her inability to land a clean hit. Now if only she could slow it down. On the other hand, Hashigure and the other guy made it out of the cavern, but the older man can't help but look back and worry over Makoto. By now she's already exhausted from running around and attacking, huffing as she tries to compose herself. But the Cyclops is directly over her now, and with its right hand it raises its arm high to smash her on the ground. The image of the Cyclops' palm growing closer is embedded in her mind, but all she can think about is that she needs to pull herself together. Makoto's memories came flooding back of her praying in front of a loved one's altar, and her taking care of her younger siblings. There's also the memory of her talking with her bedridden mother, with the latter apologizing because Makoto had to quit the club because she got sick. With a smile, Makoto assures her mother that she's okay and that she should focus on getting better. With a bright smile, she tells her mother that she'll take care of everything, so she has to pull herself together. She happens to get hold of a flyer inviting people to become an explorer, and that's how she met Takuma and the others, which leads to now. Makoto has her hands over her head, teary-eyed as she braces for the worst, but to her surprise it doesn't come. She looks up and sees that Hashigure saved her again, blocking the Cyclops' hand with his blade, while three slimes hold it off. Makoto calls out to him, and as if on cue, his blade cracks as Hashigure is forced to carry the brunt of the Cyclops' blow. Still, he holds his position, with all three slimes helping him ease the pressure. With his other hand, Hashigure extends his palm to the monster and shouts, "Tame!" The usual streaks of light emerge, with the Cyclops frozen in place. Now that it stopped moving, Hashigure calls Makoto, snapping her back to focus as he tells her she's got this. Makoto pulls herself together and draws her bow, aiming it straight at the Cyclops' eye, firing directly into her target. A clean hit! The Cyclops finally collapses to the ground, so Makoto runs over to him. She makes herself small, apologizing for how this is all her fault again, but Hashigure only stares back at her. When he finally spoke to call out her name, Makoto was ready to receive a good scolding. But to her surprise, the older man told her that he wanted to rely on her from now on. With that said, he wants her to count on him too, smiling as he tells her that they're a team now. Makoto feels lighthearted to hear those words, but because of her personality, she finds it hard to accept people's help. In the end, she caves in and tells him she will as Hashigure smiles at her. So it's true then? The mighty Absolute Knights are finally diving into the Shinjuku dungeon, aren't they? This person asks Sakurako how confident she feels about this, but the latter turns away. She doesn't really do confidence checks about these things. For Sakurako, it will always be survival of the fittest wherever you are. She heads for the door and is about to leave, but not without thanking this person for the blade. The person Sakurako just talked to sighs because one of her best customers won't be appearing for a while. This just means the shop will be pretty quiet for the time being. What a drag. The next day we're at Explorer Alley, where it's packed with adventurers of all levels. One merchant calls out to his customers for having the cheapest potions in town, while another is just about ready to sales talk about eel. It even comes with a bonus file. So yeah, this is Explorer Alley. It's just a 2-minute walk from Ueno Station. It's a sanctioned guild marketplace packed with shops and stocked with weapons, armor, and all kinds of survival supplies. Right in the middle of it all is our man Harushige, who feels a little overwhelmed by it all. Well, according to Makoto, he could replace his busted weapon here. In all honesty though, Harushige didn't expect it to be this massive. Just then, Makoto calls out to him and shows him a certain shop on her phone. According to the site, the shop has top-tier weapon rankings. Is that so? But Harushige kind of liked the vibe of the last place. Anywhere's fine, right? But Makoto wouldn't hear it. She snaps and tells him that if he's buying gear, then it's best to purchase it from a proper dealer. She tells him not to worry because she will make sure to find the perfect match for him. So just like that, the two of them went shop hopping, with Makoto doing most of the work. By the end of the third shop, our man's already gasping because he never thought shopping for gear would feel so much like a field op. The poor guy is just about to have a deja vu from his last workplace, but when Harushige finally looks up to suggest a little break to her, he finds himself alone in the middle of the street. Makoto is gone. Like any sensible adult, Harushige calls her, but unfortunately he can't reach her. She starts walking with nowhere to go in mind, thinking that Makoto will reply soon enough. For now, he needs to find a place to sit. That's when he spotted it. There's a small sign plastered in a narrow alleyway that reads Weapons and Armor, Anaguma Shop. With curiosity getting the better of him, Harushige turns the corner and heads straight to this dark and narrow alley. He looks around, and to his surprise, a brick-clad shop stands before him with the signboard Anaguma Shop hanging above. Our guy pushes the door open, and no sooner does he do so than the mysterious shop owner from the beginning perks up. Oh, she's impressed because it's been a while since someone wandered in. The woman gets up from her seat and puts out her cigarette, welcoming Harushige to Anaguma Shop. She walks over and asks him what kind of weapon he's looking for, but our poor guy's view is kind of being directed to her melons, so Harushige can only stutter gibberish with his eyes up on the ceiling. The woman mistakes this for shyness and then suddenly starts patting his body, making Harushige even more frantic. From all that copping, the woman tells Harushige that he's pretty sturdy, much to his shock. So she explains that his hands have that worn-in muscle tone. From the looks of it, he's been using those guild-issued knives, hasn't he? The woman knows Harushige worked those poor weapons down to the bone, and now he's looking for something real. Did she get it right? He's surprised, but yeah, that's pretty much what he's looking for. He asks for her name, and how silly of her. How can she forget to introduce herself? The woman introduces herself as Ayumu Anaguma. She's the one who runs this forge, but more importantly, she hopes that Harushige will be a regular. Harushige also introduces himself and explains that he just started becoming an explorer, so he's pretty new to all this stuff. Ayumu finds that pretty rare, especially since Harushige gives an aura that he works a desk job. Well, he's been told that often. Besides that, he did work a desk job before. Anyway, they head down with Ayumu leading the way. As they do so, they talk business, but our dude is a little worried about how he so easily trailed behind her, and never told Ayumu that he was just looking around. It turns out he's no different from Makoto, but other than that, what is up with this lady? She acts like she has Harushige all figured out. He never expected blacksmiths to come in this kind of vibe because he had always imagined them as middle-aged men with a grin. As if she read his mind, Ayumu suddenly speaks, saying Harushige must be wondering how someone like her could swing a hammer. But our dude is polite enough to say that he never even wondered about that. She says she'll show him the forge later, but for now he should try using appraisal on her. It might open his eyes a little bit. She even knows Harushige has an appraisal skill, with Ayumu telling him that it's fine to do so since Explorer Alley has some exceptions because the guild allows basic skill use here. As she continues to descend, Harushige does as she tells, and to his surprise, this girl is packing. For one, her blacksmithing skill is level max, and she boasts a couple of weapon handling skills, which include knife, dagger, one-handed sword, two-handed sword, greatsword, axe, spear, archer, and guns. Oh, and she could use shields too, martial arts, potions, and hunger resistance. Well, does that make her more believable now? She turns to him, asking if he wants more details. Ayumu touches her chest and says that it was 90, but Harushige cuts her off. That's too much, he doesn't need to know that. She laughs at Harushige for looking so flustered. Look how adorable he is. She apologizes and says she was messing with him. Anyway, they're finally here. They finally reach Ayumu's workshop where different kinds of weapons, some complete, some unfinished, are scattered around. She tells Harushige that she crafts all kinds of weapons and every piece is custom made. Basically, it's a one-of-a-kind work. Ayumu tailors everything to the client's request, budget, and even preferred materials. But is she sure about this? She's set on offering custom work to a total newbie like him, and they haven't even talked about the budget yet. Ayumu smiles and says her shop only sells weapons to special customers or those referred by them. Then that even makes it all stranger, so why him? Ayumu reveals that her place is set up so that only certain kinds of people can perceive it. Even the sign is covered by what they'd call a perception block. There's actually only one condition to even notice the shop. One must possess a unique skill. Ayumu tells him outright that she likes people with something rare in them, something different. The fact that our hero made it here means he has piqued Ayumu's interest big time. But then again, the choice is entirely up to him. Now what will Harushige do? Of course, Harushige bit into it, but Ayumu didn't expect him to have a pretty decent budget. In answer to that, Harushige says it's because he still has some savings left from his old office job. Anyway, she thinks he doesn't have an ounce of a clue about what materials to use, so Ayumu does the honor and appraises him herself. She sees his stats and quickly notices his skills. She knows that's no ordinary taming skill. That garbled text really is a unique skill. Wait, did she read that right? Dominion over all things? Ayumu starts questioning him, asking how long it has been since he became an explorer. Harushige tells her it's been a month now, so she asks him how he broke his weapon next. To that he answers that he blocked a cyclops attack and that sort of did it for his weapon. At that moment, Ayumu Anaguma felt a question and a stirring emotion. The first question, what was that garbled, unique skill? She grows curious about that corrupted text and the glimpse of that phrase, dominion over all things. Even as a 10-year veteran, she has never seen anything like it. The second question, he already reached level 19 after only a month. That kind of growth is unheard of, but it's tied to a unique skill that is strong, so it's plausible. What struck Ayumu as the most unusual wasn't the skill itself, it was the timing. Cyclopses are powerful monsters, but their blows don't break standard guild-issued weapons. Even with rough use, those blades would last for 6 months, at most a year. So the fact that it broke means Harushige must have swung that weapon tens of thousands of times within just a month before he even got to that Cyclops. With all things considered, Ayumu grabs him by the shoulder as she starts to feel that bubbling emotion in her. This feeling was none other than a deep, genuine curiosity toward Harushige Yamamoto. She's already excited and flushed, telling him how he's quite something. You see, the thing about Ayumu is that she became an explorer to chase the thrill of the unknown. She became a blacksmith to help people dive into that unknown. Simply put, the girl just loves what she doesn't understand. Alright, screw the payment, this one is on her. He should just consider it as a personal investment because Ayumu wants to see how far he will go. She vows to personally craft his new weapon, while all Harushige can do is thank her for that. However, if she's going to make the best possible weapon for him, then there are a lot of things she needs to learn. His height, weight, muscle density, sword swing, habits, and even his body odor. Ayumu draws closer to him as she tells our guy that she needs to examine everything. Our poor hero is terrified, but what else can he do? Cut to the next scene. Makoto and Harushige are finally reunited, with the former surprised that Harushige not only has a weapon being made but also got it custom made and free of charge. But apart from that, she's a little worried for the older man because his mouth is hanging open like a zombie. Harushige has a few band-aids patched up and looks a little ruffled, but he brushes it off, saying a lot has happened. Anyway, back to the weapon topic. He tells her that it will be ready in 3 days so he'll have it right on time for their next expedition. Makoto is already excited to see what it looks like, and even Harushige himself is eager to see the finished product. Back at the shop, Ayumu has her hands busy, drafting plans and making adjustments, excited because things are about to get more interesting. While the two excitedly wait for Harushige's new weapon at Shinjuku Dungeon, something is brewing. Someone wants to clarify if he gets it right. Some random middle-aged explorer shows up out of nowhere and tames his junior, aka that creep date, who is currently on the ground with a foot stepping on his face. And from what this speaker hears, Date can't even do crap anymore since he can't bring himself to kill anyone. Isn't taming supposed to be ineffective on humans? The two others who were with Date at the time are on their knees saying they also thought taming didn't work on humans. The man steps on Date's face harder as he questions about that other thing. Didn't they just unleash that cyclops into the upper layer, let it go wild and kill off the rookies, so they could scoop up the valuables from the corpses? The two men exchange looks as they report that the cyclops is already slain. From what they heard, it was taken down by some middle-aged explorer. The man was silent, then suddenly he put more pressure into his foot, leaving Date crying out to him. But the next moment, Date was already gone, his head crushed under the pressure. Well, the man says it's about time they introduce themselves to that old man, no? Fast forward 3 days later at the Anaguma shop. Ayumu is pleased because the test results look great. She can't believe how interesting Harushiga really is. Judging by how he's moving, the weapon is a good fit for him. Right? Harushige can't believe her, with both his hands holding a black sword and a large slash on the wall. This is not a good fit at all. Harushige is panicked because this weapon is way too dangerous to handle. To commemorate his new weapon, Makoto takes a remembrance photo of Harushige with his new weapon, Black Ruler. A 5-star two-handed sword, it has a skill called Auto Repair, and adds a 2-point two-handed sword boost. The duo heads straight to Shinjuku Dungeon, where they immediately come face to face with two cyclops. As one of them raises its hands to strike them, an arrow flies straight to its eye, fired by Makoto. This caused the monster to collapse, while the other one stepped forward, ready to stomp her. That's when Makoto signaled Harushige to do it now. Our guy appeared out of nowhere with Black Ruler drawn before cutting down the cyclops straight in its head with one slash. Harushige laughs a little because this weapon feels more like it's using him. With that, they wrap up today's adventure and head back to the guild. They got in a pretty decent haul, with the guild rep commending them for a job well done today. Since they've scoured a lot of monster materials, their total amounts to 140,500 yen. She smiles and tells them to wait for a bit while she prepares an itemized statement. Both Harushige and Makoto feel incredulous, with the younger one surprised at how that adds up so fast. Meanwhile, our dude can't believe they're making this much already. It totally beats his old monthly salary. He turns to Makoto and tells her that he has a few details he needs to process with the clerk, and urges her to head home first. She's a little surprised but doesn't question the older man's suggestion and goes ahead. He feels something's up with the way Makoto left, but because the clerk came back a second later to hand him their statement, Harushige proceeds to discuss that matter with her. If he was referring to the arrest of those people who attacked Makoto, then it's going to be a difficult task. The party behind that, the Black Wolf Pack, has been pulling similar stunts for a while now. But given how dungeon work is outside the guild's immediate reach, it's hard for them to gather solid evidence. Harushige feels let down, and even the clerk feels bad for running short on what they can do. She tells him that the guild is on alert, but there's nothing much they can do from here. Harushige thought that if only those scum would turn themselves in, that would be the quickest way to get rid of them. Harushige exits the guild, and to his surprise, Makoto is still out there, waiting for him. She beams upon seeing the older man, while the latter is surprised to see her still there. What's up? After hesitating for a bit, Makoto asks him if he would like to have dinner with her. Okay, that came out weird, so she quickly clarifies that she thought it would be nice if they could get to know each other better. And since her brothers are all staying at a friend's house tonight, she thought now would be a good time. Well, now that she mentions it, it just dawned upon him that they've never done a team bonding night. Wow, spoken like a true former corporate employee. Anyway, he's not against it and tells her they should go. Makoto beams and Harushige tells her that he'll cover the bill so she doesn't need to worry about it. Oh no, Makoto feels embarrassed since it was she who invited him out. The older man explains it's the other way around. This is him thanking her for asking. Honestly speaking, he's the one who should have suggested it first. So he asks her to just let him play the adult this time and encourages her to eat whatever she likes. Since he insists, Makoto reluctantly agrees. Unknown to them, someone has been watching their move ever since they got out of the guild. The two head to a local barbecue place, and even though he doesn't say it out loud, you could tell on Harushige's face that he's low-key regretting this because Makoto eats like a horse. She finally notices how he's not eating much, prompting her to ask if his stomach is okay. He tells her that this is what happens when you get older. Just watching a young person enjoy their food is filling all by itself. Makoto doesn't question it, while Harushige also feeds his slime. From the looks of it, it has been a while since Makoto ate well, relishing the dishes. She even goes ahead and orders more, such as a salad, namul, kimchi, a short rib, steak tongue, loin, and liver. The two enjoy their time together, and finally, after she's had her fill, Makoto sincerely thanks Harushige. It was no big deal for him. If anything, she could even order seconds if she liked. But Makoto wasn't referring to the barbecue. She goes on about how he saved her when she was attacked, and now she can even earn this much because of him. Thanks to him, Makoto is here like this. Harushige is so taken aback by such sincere words that he is left speechless. As an awkward silence descended upon them, Makoto apologized for making it awkward and asked that he keep looking out for her from now on. Of course, Harushige is more than happy to do so. They left the barbecue place and walked home together. Makoto thanks him again for the meal with Harushige masking a pained expression, glad that she enjoyed it. He really miscalculated with this one, underestimating the appetite of youth because now he's left with a lighter wallet. As if sensing what's on his mind, Makoto brings it up again, asking if he's really sure about paying for it all because she feels bad. Our dude assures her that it's fine. Adults like to look composed, but once she starts working, he urges her to take care of the younger ones in turn, which she says she will. Suddenly, a man steps out from the shadows and tells them both to stop. It was that dude from before. Harushige blocks Makoto from this man, asking who he is. From behind, a couple of other men appear, cornering them as the man tells them that they're not letting the two of them walk away. Harushige looks behind, wondering who the hell these guys are when the man in front of them speaks again and mentions date. They figured they owed them something, which was why they came looking for both Harushige and Makoto. Wait, date. Our dude remembers it now, that was the name of that creep who attacked Makoto. Speaking of Makoto, the poor girl is already terrified because she realized then that these are the Black Wolf Pack. Their leader speaks again and confirms it is so, adding how they crippled one of his men and even messed with his business. Typical bad guy, no accountability at all. With that said, he tells Harushige and Makoto that they're coming with them to have a nice long chat. As if our guy would even agree to that, but this crazy dude warns him that if they don't come, maybe he'll pay their families a visit instead. You see, he already did his homework. He knows the older man is Harushige Yamamoto and the girl's name is Makoto Asuzaki. Speaking of names, he introduces himself as Kenji Kurogiri, the leader of the Black Wolf Pack. Just like that, both Harushige and Makoto are forced to follow along with the Black Wolf Club's demands. Our guy notices how worried Makoto looks and she's even shivering out of fear. That got him mad. He walks closer beside her, and with a steel look, he assures her that everything will be fine. She doesn't have to worry about a thing. Not a single thing. They were led to the 3rd floor of the Shinjuku dungeon, and as soon as they arrived, Kurogiri said they should get talking. Harushige owns up and tells them that he's the one who messed up with one of their men. The girl is not involved. Kurogiri suddenly leaps in the air with his weapon drawn and attacks Harushige. The latter blocks his attack as Kurogiri questions our hero if he really thinks he's the one who gets to decide that. Harushige moves back, and before Makoto can rush to him, he tells her to stay back. He uses his appraisal skill to check out Kurogiri's stats and sees that his opponent has a much higher level than him. He's level 46. Kurogiri's fairly impressed that our guy can block his attack. Looks like he's not just anybody after all. Our hero is on his toes, his hand on his weapon when Kurogiri offers them a deal. Either they can die right here, right now by his hands, or the two can just become their slaves. If they do the latter, he'll let them live, even Makoto's family. Oh, but Makoto is going to have to keep Kurogiri company from time to time for fun. To be honest, he just wanted to thank them, but seeing her face twisted in fear like that got him really turned on. Creep. So what's it gonna be, die here or live as their slaves? But just so Harushige knows, Kurogiri still plans on having fun with Makoto. Makoto watches Harushige and waits for his reaction while Kurogiri bursts out laughing. Hashigure raises his hand, palms out. Kurogiri is dumbfounded. What the hell? But our hero is dead serious though. He's not taking that deal because, for one, he's had enough of the corporate life. With that, he uses his Tame gift. As expected, the small fries instantly fell for it with prompts over their heads. Awaiting orders. Aha, so this is the same Tame that got date. Kurogiri didn't expect it to be possible to cast on so many people at once. Obviously, this has a heavy toll on Harushige as he starts panting heavily. Kurogiri finds this fascinating because it looks like Harushige didn't see this part coming either. He grins mockingly because it looks like our hero's Tame doesn't work on people above his level, huh? He pities our hero for screwing up big time. Now he's done for, and every one of them present there will kill him. Kurogiri starts walking toward him and says that he and his guys also plan to have their way with Makoto before they gut her. He'll make sure to do the same to her family too, with the end result of feeding them to the monsters. But Kurogiri didn't expect himself to drop his own weapon. Wait, what? Crap. Harushige gets it now, so his Tame also works against stronger opponents too. There's just a delay before it kicks in. That's unexpected. Kurogiri starts to panic, and even more so when our hero starts walking toward him. Suddenly, he caves in and gives up. Harushige wins. He promises he won't touch the two of them again. In fact, he'll even get them anything they want. Does he want someone dead? Kurogiri will take care of it. He even promises to make sure the cops and the guild never find out. Promise he'll give Harushige anything he wants. For the first time, Harushige starts aura maxing and orders Kurogiri to kneel. The latter is quick to drop to his knees while Harushige repeats what the other guy mentioned earlier. So he'll give him anything he wants, huh? Well, for starters, he wants Kurogiri to just stay right there. The latter feels cold sweat running down his face as Harushige balls his fist, ready to punch the living daylights out of the Black Wolf Club leader. This is Harushige's first time really hitting someone with all he has. And before Kurogiri can even finish his sentence, Our hero has already punched him square in the face. Kurogiri is knocked back from Harushige's punch, unable to do anything while Makoto watches them from the side. The former is still lying on the ground, wondering why he can't move his body. He wants to run so badly and even turns to his henchmen, asking them for help. The others stand motionless, still waiting for orders. Harushige takes a step closer to Kurogiri, leaving the latter frantic and telling him to stop. Stop? When he attacked Makoto and him and they told Kurogiri to stop, did he stop? The Black Wolf Club leader doesn't answer, and then Harushige makes him stand, which he instantly does. Again, he tries appealing to our guy. This time he wants to become Harushige's underling. He'll work for him and kill whoever he wants. His men will become Harushige's men so he can do whatever he likes with them. Anything he wants, even money or maybe women. Yeah, women. He can snatch up as many women as Harushige likes, but his offer just warranted another punch from our protagonist. Kurogiri feels the wind knocked out of him, and Harushige glares at him, warning him not to say another word in front of Makoto. She's surprised that he's still thinking of her, while Harushige continues that he never said he'd kill the guy. However, he intends to make Kurogiri make things right. The next day, during the morning news, reports came in that more than a dozen members of the Explorer Guild Party, the Black Wolf Club, were taken into custody on suspicion of murder and body disposal. Their leader, 25-year-old Kenji Kurogiri, is charged with premeditated murder and desecration of corpses. The news continues that right before the arrest, the police report states that the group had been acting suspiciously in front of the station. After Harushige and Makoto's encounter with them, our protagonist gave Kurogiri 3 commands. First, he vows to do no harm to anyone again. Second, once morning comes, he will take every last subordinate of his, even those not present at the time, and turn them in. Last, until the day breaks, they will kneel and apologize profusely to all the families of their victims. Harushige turns to Makoto and apologizes for wrapping things up like this, but it's fine. She already told him, didn't she? Makoto never wanted revenge in the first place. Yeah, she was scared for life, and even yesterday's events were pretty scary for her too. But when Harushige told her not to worry back then, she fully believed him. In the end, it wasn't so scary for her after all. If it's like that, then he's glad about it. But it does feel like Makoto is the one always being saved by him, though the older man contests that it's she who keeps doing that for him. She doesn't believe that's the case, but Harushige assures her it is. Continuing with the news blast from the TV, there's a special feature about the strongest explorer party, the Absolute Knights, who are currently conquering the Shinjuku dungeon. Wow. Makoto didn't know that their party was busy conquering Shinjuku, while Harushige wordlessly watched the news munching on his food. If he remembers correctly, they're the ones he saw at the guild before, no? The news anchor details how the Absolute Knights is a party made up of the country's strongest explorers, and right now they're about to show a clip of their interview with the party's leader, Leon Kanzaki. They were curious why their party wanted to dive into this dungeon. To that, Leon answers that he has no interest in status or fame. The only reason he enters dungeons is because of self-discipline. But for some reason, without really wanting to, he rose to fame. Frankly speaking, he finds it a bit troublesome with how people call out to him in town, asking for an autograph, even outside the dungeons. Leon says he can't even have a moment's peace. As for this Shinjuku dungeon quest, this is just another step in his training at best. But if he could be a role model for those who look up to him, then he'll do his best. With that, the interview wraps up. Makoto, for one, doesn't buy into his gig. In fact, she finds him kind of shady, though yeah, he's probably amazing. Harushige can only laugh, but at least he finally knows who the leader of the strongest party is right now. Or are they really the strongest? Currently at Shinjuku's dungeon floor 90, Leon is a far cry from the confident image he has on TV. Now he's on his knees with a broken sword, banged up armor, and scared for his life as he stares at the giant pair of legs before him. Standing before their party is the 3-headed monster, a Shura ogre, wielding 6 blades. The monster brings down one of his swords right into Leon, only for Sakurako to block it in the last minute. She tells him to move up, given how everybody's got their hands full, but their party leader is a scared mess who remained glued to the floor out of fear. Sakurako clicks her tongue in annoyance, while their mage suggests they fall back since they can't handle this right now. Sakurako barks at Leon again to get up since they need to pull back, but the very idea of retreat seems foreign to him. Sakurako instructs their mage, Mika, to prep the escape skill, when Leon suddenly cuts in and tells them that it won't work. He had to spell out to them that they're the Absolute Knights, the strongest party there is. If they retreat now, then it would damage their reputation. But Sakurako fires back that this isn't the time to worry about that. As she looks back to answer him, one of the blades swiftly comes down to cut her, but thankfully her reflexes save her as she blocks the attack in time. She swats the enemy's sword, and that's when she notices that her weapon is close to shattering. She calls Adachi and tells him to grab Leon. The latter quickly does as she instructed, carrying their leader over his shoulder despite Leon trying to kick reason against her. But Sakurako is sure they're going to retreat. Meanwhile, she gets into position, saying she'll do it just as the Ashura ogre starts attacking her. Despite the monster being much bigger, Sakurako managed to block its attack and use this chance to leap high in the air to execute her technique, Sakura Setsubu, Cherry Blossom Snow Dance, slashing the ogre in multiple places. The monster stands still, waiting for its body to heal while Sakurako is determined to finish this. She can take it down. Again, she leaps high in the air, determined to deliver the finishing blow, only for her weapon to shatter upon coming in contact with the ogre's skin. With her in mid-air, the monster was about to slice her in half, but she was much faster, putting some distance between them. With that, she tells the ogre that she'll repay this debt one day, and makes her escape. The next day, news spread quickly of the Absolute Knight's defeat at the hands of the floor boss, the Ashura ogre. Currently, Harushige is in the middle of taking down a knight-like monster, which is a pretty easy feat now that he's level 41. Makoto is with him, fighting alongside our guy, and like him, Makoto also boosted in ranks because she's now level 40. After taking down the monster, they head back to the guild, where the familiar guild rep hands them the result of their appraisals. They politely take it, but before they could see the results, Harushige is distracted by the commotion around the guild. He can't help but mention this to the guild rep. Feels like the guild's been noisy lately, huh? Well, about that, she lowers her voice to a hush, but what for? The topic of their conversation just walked in. It's Sakurako, with blood splattered over her body. What's more, she's also carrying something huge on her back, causing the other explorers to part like the Red Sea as she makes her way to the counter. She drops her haul with a clang, then proceeds to tell the rep that she needs an appraisal. That's when she noticed Harushige and Makoto were standing on the side. Oh, were they still mid-process? Harushige shakes his hand, saying they finished just now. But Sakurako continues to hold his gaze, and from the looks of it, the man is clearly intimidated. So after what seems like an eternity, he asks if there's anything else. Sakurako finally lowers her gaze. It's nothing, she says. She turns her attention back to the guild rep, saying she'll come again tonight for the final paperwork and the payout, then leaves the guild. Everyone makes sure to keep their distance from her as she does so. Harushige knows her. Wasn't she a member of the Absolute Knights? The guild rep tells him that her name is Sakurako Kokonoe. He is right though, she used to be a member of the Absolute Knights. Wait, what does she mean by used to? The guild rep explains that after the Shinjuku dungeon incident, Sakurako left the party. From then on, she's been going solo and hunting boss monsters in unclaimed dungeons every day. When a floor boss is defeated, the dungeonized facility reverts to its original state, which is pretty helpful to the guild, but there's a thing. Harushige asks if there's a problem with that, so the guild rep continues that some explorers who fish for those areas for regular farming are complaining. Even she can't help but complain now given how all the paperwork and the red tape are such a hassle. Hell, even she knows she shouldn't be saying that out loud. Harushige and Makoto kept quiet, trying so hard not to judge her. Harushige and Makoto left the guild after that. But it made him think of Sakurako. He can't believe she would quit a party that was called the Strongest. So even the strong have their own reasons to do what they did. He was so deep in thought that he didn't hear that Makoto was actually calling him. Oh, what's up? He says. Makoto asks in turn if it's okay for him to accompany her to pick a new weapon. He's more than thrilled to. In fact, there's a shop he wants to show her. Ooh, is this the shop that made Harushige's weapon? He says that it is so, and adds that when he picked up his weapon, the shop owner told him that she'd take care of his friend's weapons too. Harushige and Makoto walk to the familiar alleyway of Anaguma's shop with him leading the way. Soon they see it and enter the shop, but are surprised to see that Ayumu has a customer. Why, it's Sakurako again. She also remembers them as the pair from the guild earlier. There was an awkward pause while Ayumu found the scene also amusing. Would you look at that? Her favorites actually know each other. And from the looks of it, today's customer is that young lady beside Harushige. Makoto answers her, while Ayumu is already busy assessing her from where she's seated. Ayumu notices that she uses a bow, and from the looks of it, she's been using it for a while now. Good, it suits her well. However, Ayumu had already promised another weapon to someone else just now, so she can't get to hers for a little while just yet. Her shoulders droop when she hears that, but she understands. Meanwhile, Sakurako is still staring at them, at Harushige specifically from where she's standing. He can't figure her out, so the three of them remain standing where they are. Sakurako unsheathes her katana an inch, then emits a powerful haki to both Harushige and Makoto. He instinctively tries to block it off from Makoto, even though he has no idea what Sakurako is up to. The latter is equally surprised by what he did before sheathing her sword fully. Ayumu tells her to stop it. Sakurako shouldn't mess with her favorites. Okay, now both Harushige and Makoto are confused. Sakurako apologizes. She didn't mean to be hostile, she just wanted to test them out a little. Wait, what, test them? Sakurako smiles and tells Ayumu to put the order for her weapon on hold. Eh? Makoto perks up upon hearing that. Is that really okay? Sure it is, she says, but in exchange she wants to join their party, eh? The next day at Shinjuku Dungeon, Harushige and Makoto stand waiting for Sakurako. While waiting, the two can't wrap their heads around why the latter would say something like that. You see, yesterday at the Anaguma shop, Sakurako told Harushige to meet up with her without any explanations. Well, Harushige says they should just chalk it up to Sakurako having a keen sense of things like this. She's a seasoned fighter, so there must be some fighter's angle they can't see. Anyway, since Sakurako will be joining them today, they should be able to farm more efficiently. Makoto agrees, and more importantly, they also need to pay off her new weapon. Her new weapon is called Amano Makakoyumi and has a few nifty skills. It can auto-repair, correct itself in both short and long range, and it has no sway. Harushige asks how she feels about the weapon, and honestly, Makoto hasn't tried it yet. But what she can say is that the bow is pretty light and fits right in her hands. That's good enough for him to hear. Just then, they hear Sakurako's voice apologizing for making them wait. This time, she's no longer wearing the hakama from yesterday. Instead, she's wearing the same thing she wore the first time Harushige saw her. Speaking of Harushige, the poor 40-year-old is about to combust, not knowing how to react to her fit, so Sakurako had to tell them that this is her battle gear. That instantly shut him up, but not Makoto though. The youngest cries that Sakurako is wearing pretty light armor. Shouldn't she be wearing protective gear? The latter says it's unnecessary, she just needs to make sure she won't get hit. Spoken like a true professional. Anyway, clothing fits aside, she also wants the two to call her by her first name, leaving both of them puzzled. They didn't have to ask why because Sakurako tells them that she simply doesn't like formalities. From now on, she'll also be calling them by their first names. It's not like they have any choice, so Harushige easily agrees, while Makoto only stares at him for a beat before pulling his shirt, asking if she can call him by his first name too. Of course she could. That instantly lifts her mood, so she suggests Harushige also call him by her first name. The trio heads straight to floor 31. From what Sakurako knows about the two, Harushige is level 48 while Makoto is level 44. If they're at that level, reaching floor 40 shouldn't be too hard for them. If anything, they won't stop until they reach that. The two agree, and that's all Sakurako needs. Suddenly, a large snake appears out of the blue, but Sakurako tells them she'll handle it. Huh? Harushige was about to ask what she was about to do, but she only smirked and told him that she would show them how to do it. The snake suddenly bared its fangs and went straight to Sakurako for the kill, but it only managed to bite the ground she was standing on a moment earlier. "You're in my range," she says to the monster. It opens its fangs to bite her again, but this time Sakurako goes for the kill and counters the monster, drawing the katana so fast that she already sheathed it before the snake could even feel what happened. Still, she's not pleased with her performance. She should have used something flashier. A second later, the snake flops with its head separated from its body, dead. She looks at her work, unimpressed with the execution. Then there's Harushige and Makoto, who both have their jaws hanging on the floor. Did that suit their tastes? She asks. Given the state of the monster, of course, they are. Makoto also takes this chance to ask a question that's been bugging her mind. Why did Sakurako leave the Absolute Knights? And why did she join their party? Why them? Sakurako walks ahead and says she'll answer one at a time. First, the reason she left the Absolute Knights is that the party has no future, that's all there is to it. She continues that the party's leader, Leon Kanzaki, is nothing but a paper tiger. From the looks of it, Sakurako thinks the dude probably leveled up by grinding weak monsters. He's always fighting down and never up. He has no mindset for real threats. So even when faced with an enemy he could beat by giving it all, his legs gave out. Yesterday, Sakurako felt it in her guts that Harushige and Makoto aren't like that. She shares her assessment of the two, of how they go all in and that they've been through hell. Even the tiny killing intent she released at the Anaguma shop yesterday was enough to elicit a reaction from them. She stops to look back at the two, thinking in her head that there's something about Harushige. It's as if he has something beyond level or experience. Sakurako feels that he's hiding some kind of trump card. Plus, there's the fact that Ayumu called him one of his favorites too. Could he have a unique skill? As a martial artist, Sakurako has a dream to become stronger with no limits. She wants to clear floor 90 and face stronger monsters to refine herself. That is her ultimate dream. For that to happen, she needs comrades with the same resolve. Comrades who will chase strength with her and push past their limits. Sakurako just knows it, she can see it in their eyes. And with both of them on her side, they can master the path of the warrior. And that's the real reason why she wanted to join them. Well, she thinks she got a little too fired up with her speech, but whatever. Harushige and Makoto exchange glances before he finally speaks up and admits that the two of them are not aiming for the deep floors. They just need to make enough money to cover their living expenses. There was a pregnant pause before what they said finally registered on Sakurako's mind. The two stood staring at her shell-shocked face for a prolonged silence before she finally tried to save face. They shouldn't worry about it, really. She doesn't mind if they aren't aiming for the deep floors. For now, they should continue moving. They'll just cross that bridge when they get there. Sooner or later they'll conquer the floor, yeah? For now, they'll move together as a party. Harushige and Makoto look more anxious now than ever. What that girl just said made them worried.